What up, guys? It's Gaz, and welcome to the Warframe video. So we're going over another really strong melee weapon today. That's a brand new, ridiculous weapon, honestly, called the Karst Prime. This came out with Inaros Prime Access, and oh man, are these stats pushed. They're really looking to sell this Prime Access to us with this ridiculously strong melee weapon. Honestly, probably one of the best weapons in the game for melee. We'll compare it to some other stuff here in a second, but let's get the stats out of the way. So basically, the only thing that's bad in this weapon is the attack speed. The attack speed is 0.667, which is one of the slowest weapons in the entire game. And it's a dagger, so it's got 2.2 meters of range, which is actually pretty high for a dagger. But yeah, it's a really low range dagger. Everything else about it is good. We have 24% crit chance, 2.2 multiplier. So that 24% crit chance is not enough to get red crits with Blood Rush. If you use the Helios stat stick, sure, you could get it, but I don't normally run Helios stat sticks, so I don't usually show those in my videos unless I'm feeling like showing it. So, yeah, orange crits at 12x multiplier, still fine. With a crit chance driven, you can get a red crit. 30% stash chance, extremely high for this weapon. As you can see, it's hybrid viable out the box. Extremely high stash chance. You're going to be getting double status procs at Weeping Wounds, 12x, and then we've got really good crit stats too. And then if you look at the base, okay, we're not even done. On the damage, we have really high slash. The highest is slash damage, and the second highest is innate toxin. This is pretty much a Kuva Sheath as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, this thing is insane. Stat-wise, it doesn't have any hidden passive or gimmicks like that, like some other weapons do. So let's quickly compare. I basically consider this thing a Pangolin Prime, but like maybe not better. I feel like the innate toxin on this thing actually can hold it back in some situations on very, very specific damage over time builds. But as we see right here, another recent Prime weapon with really high stats, the Pangolin Prime. We're slower, but we've got slower and a little bit less crit chance and range, but we've got 100 more base damage and high and innate toxin damage. So it's really, really powerful. And with that innate toxin, you can actually make some builds, some combined elemental builds with just one elemental mod. So as you see right here, just electricity, the electricity mod on here, and we actually have corrosive. You could easily switch that to viral if you wanted to. It just takes one mod, so it's really nice. In addition, if you want to do a viral heat build, say you have a Riven mod that lets you free up some slots, you can actually make a viral heat build on this thing really easily, and that extremely high stash chance is going to do really well. You're going to be getting lots of viral procs, lots of heat procs, lots of slash procs in addition. So, yeah, you can switch it between those really easily. And as I said, it's really slow. So I am going to recommend that you have 2 to 3 attack speed increasing sources if you're going to be using this thing for a long mission, just in general. So, Berserker for sure. On a critical hit, you get 30% attack speed. It stacks up to 75%. So definitely make sure you run this. I'm also running Prime Fury on the non-riven setup. My normal riven for this thing actually has critical chance and attack speed on it too. And then even for some other situations, I was running Arcane Strike on my frame. It's not currently equipped, just to show a realistic test here with no rivens. So yeah, corrosive right here. And just a reminder to people, the reason I run corrosive on melees and not viral is because I usually am running a viral Kuva Nucor, which is going to give them 10 viral stacks instantly pretty much. And I'm also going to be to get the most potential damage, I'm going to actually run Corrosive in my melee because Corrosive will bypass enemies' armor, and it also can remove armor with a status effect. So for min-max damage against Grenier, Corrosive on your melee, and Viral on your secondary. So also Heat on your secondary too. So we got this build for Corrosive. I've ran this in long survival already. It's really good. We've got this build is really fun actually. I'll show this one in a second too. It's a damage over time build. And unlike my Pangolin Prime build I showed in like March with the 160-60 Toxin mod, making it so Slash is slightly higher weighted than the Toxin, this one actually has innate Toxin, so you pretty much can't do that. You'd have to run like Buzzkill, which I don't really like Buzzkill, but it's technically something you could do for pretty consistent slash procs. But yeah, if you're trying to do a build like this where it's like a damage over time build for anti-Grenier, you can actually do either Buzzkill, Prime Fever Strike, or you can even run Gladiator Might. Those are all fine. And if you don't, obviously this is with me having attack speed driven. If you don't have an attack speed driven, you would put on Prime Fury up there or wherever. So we'll show that in a second here. And then there's a heavy attack build because daggers actually have built-in slash procs into their heavy attacks. So this is really good. This will one-shot pretty much everything that we can spawn here. And of course, you switch out your Bane mod for your faction you're fighting of choice. So, for example, the anti-Corpus Bane mod, the anti-corrupted one, etc., etc. So let's show the no Riven corrosive build real fast. Keeping in mind, this is meant for stacking up Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds up to 12x. So let's get some juggies in here just to ramp that up. We'll take like a second or two. This is what I usually do to simulate 12x combo multiplier. They are not paused. They are yeeting around. All right, well let's use them anyway. Don't mind me. Our 12x multiplier. All right, let's get those gunners in here, what they're called, Exo Goose Strike Officers. This is a corrosive build, and we have an 11x multiplier. All right, so as you see, like it took like 4 hits to kill them. And this is with no we're not using a new core right now, and yeah, pretty good stuff. Most of them are orange crits, as you see. I said there's no way to get red crits really unless you're using a Helios or if you have a crit chance Riven, or if you want to sacrifice another mod slot for some crit chance mods. So I personally don't find that worth the mod slot. I would love to get red crits on this thing, but orange crits will do. As you see, it gets the job done. And this is not really like a build meant for these guys, where it's going to be... the slash is really good against these guys, so I'd actually recommend the damage over time build over this one here. So, yeah, this is not a heavy attack build, but we can show a heavy attack build in this last gunner over here. As you see, the slash proc, kind of okay. The heavy attack build specifically is actually much better against those gunners, or whatever they're called, Exo Goose Strike Officers. So let's do a heavy attack build on them. Relatively nice stuff there. So here is the heavy attack build. I'm going to use my Riven just because I want some attack speed. So we're using Sacrificial Steel. Basically, remember, these critical chance mods apply two times as much to heavy attack. So we've got 164 here, getting multiplied by 2. We're getting 220 here, multiplied by 2. And we're also running Amalgam Organ to make our heavy attack wind-up speed quicker. We've also got Corrupt Charge to make it so we never go below a 2x combo multiplier. Pretty nice for heavy attacks. And then Prime Smite just make the slash procs that are guaranteed even more powerful with against Grenier, which we're fighting Grenier right here. So, all right, let's get one heavy attack, and it was about 39k slash proc on her, 54k on her. So pretty good stuff. I mean, of course, if I hit them with viral before I hit them, before I got the slash proc on them, it would be doing like 100k plus. And this is just like, my Riven is really not doing much here. It's making it attack faster, and it's making it so the crits are a little bit like more consistent. So you don't need a Riven at all for this thing, but they are pretty good Rivens. So I would definitely recommend getting one if you don't, if you like this weapon and you're trying to like maybe not main it, but use it quite often. You're gonna get some good bang for your buck out of a Riven mod for this thing. Some really good stats would be attack speed. I definitely would recommend that highly. There's also, honestly, critical chance is pretty nice on this thing because it's not going to be getting red crits without critical chance. It might not even be able to get like perma red crits with a critical chance Riven. So I'd say attack speed, range actually pretty good as well. Here's the damage over time build. Now this thing is actually pretty good with Ash because Ash actually makes slash procs do more damage with its passive. They also last longer with Ash. So here we go. This is like a Toxin build. Now, of course, the Toxin procs are much weaker than the slash procs on these guys. That's why I kind of like, I find some situations where like you're trying to get a damage over time setup going. I find the Pangolin Prime a little bit better in that regard, but it's really not a big. If you're choosing between this and the Pangolin Prime, I'd say probably pick this. The innate Toxin is pretty awesome. Lets you bypass Corpus shields. Lets you make those elemental combos really easily. Like, if you want to run viral, like it's totally fine to run viral on this thing. Really easy to fit the build on. Gives you room for Weeping Wounds. Gives you room for Prime Fury if you want to run that. So really good stuff there. And yeah, I'm happy. Like, I think this is the highlight of the Prime Access, honestly. One of the new, most powerful melee weapons in the game. It has so much. This thing has more base damage than a heavy blade. It's a dagger. It attacks about just as slow as a heavy blade or a hammer. But yeah, let's just quickly compare it to like the Graham Prime. So it's got more damage than the Graham Prime, but like I said, it attacks slower than the Grand Prime. And the Grand Prime is like one of the, the highest stat melee weapons in the game, so that's pretty impressive, honestly. We've got stuff like the Reaper Prime. It's got over 140 more base damage than the Reaper Prime, so you are looking at quite a monster here with the Karst. It wasn't too hard to farm. It's only got 3 parts. And then like here's like some quick survival gameplay of this is actually an old Riven I'm showing here. This is a melee damage and range Riven mod, so nothing super insane. But as you see right here, like we proc them with the new core, and they are getting one shot pretty much easily. So yeah, a range Riven on this thing is pretty nice. With my build on this in this video, or in this clip rather, I had primed reach. I had a range Riven. I had about 7.5 meters of range on a dagger, so that's really high for a dagger. Yeah, I definitely would recommend range. It's pretty much like a long range sword if you get a range Riven. So yeah, attack speed, range, critical damage or critical chance, and then minus slide crit is always nice. Something I've actually been noticing a lot lately is people think that okay, I know not everyone is like a Riven expert, but when I was looking through trade chat to try to find some Rivens for this thing to use for this video and just like to keep for personal use, because I like this thing a lot personally. I actually found a lot of people thinking that the god, air quotes, god roll for a dagger involves finisher damage. I do not really feel like that is appropriate at all. I find finishers to be very outdated. It's not like they don't do damage, but like why would you kill one enemy at a time when you can kill like 3 or 4 enemies at a time with the heavy attack from this thing, or with even the light attacks. The light attacks from this thing are beastly. You will be killing multiple enemies at once if you put prime reach on your build, like you probably should. So yeah, one kill at a time with a finisher, definitely not what you're looking to do. I would not recommend running covert lethality anymore. I would not recommend finisher damage on a Riven. This thing is more of a light attack and heavy attack monster than anything involving finishers, especially with that low attack speed. So I know it came out with Anaros, and like I'm actually happy a dagger came with Anaros, because it gives me nostalgia for when Anaros and finishers was like how it would cheese sorties back in the day, or maybe not cheese, but like it would be like my really reliable method. Was like, oh, this is an enhanced Toxin sortie right here. Like these Nox enemies are gonna be so tanky and annoying. So I just bring a dagger with Anaros, and it was guaranteed to kill them with covert lethality. That's not the case anymore. It still does good damage, but like you could do better than that. So another nice thing about this is like with like 3 sources of attack, 2 or 3 sources of attack speed, you can spam slide attacks like really fast, and it's like decent mobility, honestly. So yeah, I do think this is probably one of the top tier melee weapons in the game. It's pretty much like as good as a like really well built Zaw. I have a full crit Bala Zaw dagger, the Keanu Reeves Kuvashiv, which has really good charge attack builds as well, and that thing has no innate toxin. So for like a full slash build, it might technically be no actually, because you can't actually make a Zaw with as high a stats as this thing at all. The hybrid viability of the Karst Prime actually is like much better than something like the Bala dagger. So that's just unfortunate for the Bala dagger, but there you go. Like you can farm this one pretty easily. I think it's MR 12 required, and if you can get used to the really low range, and if you can mod around the low attack speed, it will definitely serve you very well. Is it going to be my main go-to melee weapon going forward? No, it's not. I do find that I personally like the Pangolin Prime more, which is another, like I said, recently added really high stat melee weapon. I've really been enjoying the hammer from the previous video. I still really love the Jack Hussar a lot, especially after the Riven buff. And like there's so many melee weapons I like to use. This will be added to the rotation, but it won't be like the only weapon I'm using. So that is just how I look at it. As you see right here, we're running Primed Smite Grineer, and I think some other random mod that's not good against these Corpus, and we're pretty much still one-shotting them with like 2 mod slots not really relevant against this faction. So it's got really, really good stats, guys. I wouldn't say buy the Prime Access. Like I said, I think this is the best part of the Prime Access. with the Panthera Prime being the second best part and Inara's Prime being the most irrelevant part. So I am not in any rush to get Inara's Prime. I'm basically waiting for him to be like 100 plat before I even consider buying him, if I even want to. Like, I know he's easy to farm, to be honest, so I might just farm him eventually if I get that bored, but it's just Inaros with like 25 more health and like 25 more armor, wherever they ended up giving him. So I'm not really excited about him, but I was actually, like, testing this thing out was fun. If you're trying to do a dot build, like I said, Toxin procs are much weaker than slash procs against armored enemies. So if you're like using Ash or something and you like remove all their armor, the Toxin procs will be great there. So that's why I think it's a really good Ash weapon. You can fit so much crazy stuff on your build if you are not really modding for a combined elemental like viral, corrosive, gas, whatever. Sorry, I said the G word. We gotta pretend that doesn't exist anymore. Hopefully they buff it up someday, honestly. So basically it for the video, guys. I'm not even using a new core in here. I didn't really show new core gameplay that much in here. It's you could get like with this with my crappy Riven, you can actually get 270,000 plus damage slash procs with this thing. So, and that's on Limbo. So keep that one in mind. Let me actually switch to that really quickly. So yeah, this mission's pretty much over. You just kill stuff with Ash. That's how it goes. You're invisible the whole time. You kill him with a dagger. You know how it goes. So let's quickly show it with a new core here, and then we'll call the video. Okay, so I'm gonna run the corrosive. I'm gonna run the Bane build which is gonna be Prime Smite, Grenier, Weeping Wounds, etc., etc. Let's actually run Buzzkill, so we have a higher chance to proc slash, because we're gonna kill them so quickly, like we're not gonna even be able to get to the 12x multiplier. So I'm gonna proc them with some new core shots. Keep in mind, you see quite a few procs on them. The new core actually has an innate proc that's hidden called Microwave, I believe it's what it's called, and it expands the enemies. That does count as a condition overload proc. I have tested it on stream twice, and it's really hard to test, but it does actually does give you additional damage from condition overload. So not everyone is aware of that. I believe it is on the wiki. And like I said a couple videos ago, the wiki it's possible the wiki can be wrong, but I have tested it myself personally. So there's your 200,000 plus slash proc right there. That was 140k. So it is really, really disgusting. 123k on her. And this is with a pretty mediocre. That was a 314k. Jeez. So like if you had a god roll Riven with like attack speed, critical damage, like I guess range or like melee damage or critical chance, like you will see like maybe 350k, 400k slash procs with this, like with a new core procking on it. So definitely give it a shot, and make sure you check out the rest of the videos on the channel. There will be more videos coming up this week. I've got plans for a Panthera video, and some other weapons you might have been expecting. So some revisits pretty much. So I'll talk to you guys next time. Please take it easy and peace.